It's not what happens to you that determines your life, but how you respond to it. This statement is not just an ancient philosophy, but a guiding principle for analyzing and managing the stressful situations created by narcissists. Narcissists operate by exploiting weaknesses in others' perception and emotions, manipulating reactions to increase their power and reinforce an unrealistic self-image. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that true power lies in your ability to control your own mind, not in trying to change someone else's behavior. Instead of reacting emotionally or attempting to manage factors beyond your reach, the focus must be on analyzing, being aware, and adjusting yourself. In doing so, you protect your mental space and maintain self-control in the face of any external provocation. This video will present 4 analytical strategies grounded in Stoic philosophy, designed to minimize the influence of narcissists while strengthening your inner resilience. These are not methods for confrontation or counter-manipulation, but tools for analysis and control, helping you remain logical, calm, and stable in any situation. By applying these strategies, you will learn to assess, direct, and regulate your own responses, transforming potentially stressful interactions into opportunities to reinforce your inner power. Stoicism not only helps you endure the pressure of narcissistic behavior, but also builds a mental fortress, a place where no external force can intrude and where you can cultivate self-mastery, clarity, and peace. The first strategy is reducing influence. Stoic philosophy emphasizes a fundamental principle. True power lies in your ability to control your inner world. This means that regardless of someone else's behavior or words, especially those of a narcissist, they only hold power over you if you allow them to influence your emotions and thoughts. Narcissists manipulate by amplifying drama, provoking emotions, and draining your mental energy. However, their real power doesn't come from their actions. It comes from how you react to them. Once you understand this principle, you can begin building a strong inner fortress where every external impact is analyzed and processed through logic rather than becoming a psychological threat. The first step in reducing influence is to clearly distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Unlike instinctive emotional reactions, Stoic philosophy teaches that you only have control over your thoughts, emotions, actions, and choices. Any attempt to change a narcissist's behavior is a waste of mental energy and only weakens your self-mastery. When you accept this truth, you free up your energy, shift from emotional reaction to logical analysis, and reinforce your inner strength. The next and crucial step is establishing inner boundaries. These boundaries allow you to clearly recognize when you're being pulled into external stimulation and when you need to maintain psychological distance. This layer of logical armor weakens the power of manipulation, exaggeration, or provocation from a narcissist. You begin to view every external action as data to analyze rather than as a threat, which minimizes emotional overreaction. Maintaining boundaries is not avoidance. It's an active, conscious practice where logic and reason take precedence over emotion. The Stoics understood that every emotional overreaction is a moment of lost inner power. By reducing a narcissist's influence, you not only protect your mental state, but also strengthen your focus on the values, goals, and actions within your control. This mental stability allows you to make decisions based on logic and analysis, free from emotional manipulation or exaggeration. Thus, reducing influence is not merely a defensive act. It is a deliberate process of building inner capacity, reinforcing self-mastery, and laying the foundation for the strategies that follow. An essential part of this strategy is observing and analyzing the level of stress you experience during interactions. When you can clearly identify your emotional state and its source, you're able to separate what is real from what has been exaggerated in your mind. This awareness allows you to respond to manipulation with logic, rather than being swept away by emotion. The Stoics viewed this as a continuous practice of self-awareness, where every experience becomes data for analysis, strengthening your mental fortress and enhancing your capacity for self-control. Reducing influence also requires strategic management of mental energy. Psychological energy is a limited resource. Every second spent reacting to or worrying about a narcissist's behavior is a second loss from reinforcing your logic and inner strength. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that your energy should be directed toward analysis, awareness, and self-mastery, not toward external disturbances. When you learn to invest your energy in what lies within your control, every external trigger becomes an opportunity to train your logic, clarity, and composure. This strategy also involves maintaining continuous awareness of external influences and internal reactions. When you practice introspection alongside observation, you enhance your ability to think logically and regulate your emotions. You no longer allow the narcissist to manipulate or create negative cycles. Instead, you approach situations with reason, reinforcing your mental fortress and protecting your inner power. Every controlled response strengthens your logic, clarity, and complete self-mastery. Reducing influence forms the foundation for the strategies that follow: challenging illusions, developing the self, and mastering reactions. Once you've refined your ability to analyze, recognize, and adjust your responses, you're ready to build inner strength, maintain calmness, and handle manipulation with logic. This transforms every interaction into data for analysis, reinforcing your inner authority and sustaining self-control in all situations. Reducing influence is not merely a defensive act. It's a proactive strategy where true power remains in your hands and every external impact is processed through reason. The second strategy is challenging illusion. Narcissists often create a world that revolves around them, a stage where every action is designed to reinforce their idealized self-image. This is a mask built to hide deep internal wounds and a constant need to control others. For the Stoic, this is not something to confront, but something to observe. Stoicism teaches it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Therefore, challenging illusion is not about bringing others down. It's about maintaining a clear mind and refusing to be drawn into their emotional game. The Stoic distinguishes clearly between appearance and essence. When facing a narcissist, they understand that exaggerated words or arrogant actions do not reflect true value. They are merely reflections of insecurity disguised as power. Instead of reacting, the Stoic observes. Instead of arguing, they remain rational. This distance creates an inner safe zone where all manipulation loses its power against clarity. Challenging illusion begins with maintaining emotional distance. Narcissists often destabilize others through two extremes: praising to make you dependent, then demeaning to throw you off balance. The Stoic does not fall into that cycle. They receive every word as data, without labeling it as right or wrong, love or hate. When you maintain this mindset, you stop reacting and start observing. And within that observation, you reclaim mastery over your own perception. Behind that observation lies introspection, the inward reflection of the self. The Stoic constantly asks, why did those words affect me? What part of me is being triggered? When you understand the root of your emotions, you are no longer controlled by others. You begin to see that the pain doesn't come from their actions, but from how you interpret those actions. By adjusting your perception, you strengthen your inner armor of logic, where every external influence is processed through reason instead of emotion. This strategy goes beyond observing emotions. It also involves analyzing motives and the logic behind behavior. The Stoic understands that another person's power exists only when we give it to them. Every exaggeration or act of manipulation holds power only if you believe in it. When you maintain cognitive distance, you begin to notice the contradictions in their reasoning and the flaws in the narratives they construct. And once you see that irrationality clearly, the illusion dissolves instantly. A narcissist cannot control someone who has seen through them. An essential part of challenging illusion is controlling how you choose to receive information. In the Stoic worldview, the mind is a gate that only you have the authority to open. When someone says something, you can choose to let it pass through or hold it for analysis. If it's flattery, see it as a test of awareness. If it's criticism, treat it as an opportunity to strengthen self-control. This conscious filtering keeps your mind balanced and steady, preventing any illusion from shaping your perception. The Stoic also understands that every stimulus is data for learning. Every boast, every provocation is an opportunity to train observation and analysis. Instead of feeling hurt, they learn to recognize recurring patterns in the narcissist's behavior. The craving for admiration, the fear of being ignored, the dependence on self-image. When you see these patterns clearly, you are no longer deceived by appearances. You see a person imprisoned by their own illusion, and that insight allows you to remain calm and compassionate without losing your boundaries. Challenging illusion is also a continuous reflection between perception and action. The Stoic constantly observes their own reactions after each interaction. They analyze, adjust, and learn. With each repetition, the inner armor of logic grows stronger. The more you practice, the less you are shaken. Gradually, your mind becomes stable, no longer easily provoked by emotional tactics. Every manipulative act from the outside becomes a signal to train your reason, not a threat to your peace. At this level, you begin to experience true inner freedom. The narcissist may try to assert power, but they can no longer affect you. You see them as a psychological phenomenon, not an enemy. You understand that everyone is bound by their own illusions, and the only liberation is through awareness. Instead of resisting, you choose calm. Instead of judging, you choose observation. And in that stillness, you are the only one who truly remains in control. Ultimately, challenging illusion is not about changing the narcissist. That is beyond your control. The goal is to free your mind from the influence of illusion, keeping reason and self-control at the center. When you stop reacting emotionally and begin acting logically, all manipulation loses its meaning. Every exaggerated word becomes an opportunity to strengthen clarity. Every uncomfortable situation becomes a lesson in calmness. From there, you move to the next stage, self-development and reaction control, where Stoic wisdom helps you maintain peace in every circumstance. At its core, challenging illusion is the process of reclaiming mastery over perception. When you see the truth clearly, all falsehoods lose their power. When you master your emotions, every provocation becomes meaningless. And when you realize that true power lies in your own hands, no illusion can take away your peace. That is the essence of the Stoic spirit, steady, clear-minded, and free in a world full of deception. The third strategy is self-development. True strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. In Stoic philosophy, self-awareness and continuous self-improvement are the ultimate tools for protecting inner power. Every lasting change begins with deep self-analysis of thoughts, values, and behavior, which strengthens your inner foundation and minimizes external influence, including manipulation from narcissists. Self-development is a process of continuous introspection. The Stoic does not judge themselves, but instead analyzes their thinking patterns, beliefs, and emotional reactions. This practice helps identify the factors that make you susceptible to influence, allowing you to adjust your behavior and reinforce self-control. When introspection is practiced consistently, it becomes a shield of logic, where all external pressures and provocations are processed through reason rather than emotion. A crucial part of this strategy is separating your intrinsic worth from external validation. Narcissists often manipulate by creating a dependency on approval, but the Stoic understands that self-worth can never be defined by others' behavior. By focusing on self-improvement, strengthening inner values, and maintaining rationality, you build an unshakable mental fortress, one that shields clarity and self-mastery from all external intrusion. This strategy also requires analyzing and adjusting thought patterns dependent on others. When introspection becomes a habit, you gain greater control over your thoughts and emotions, reducing the urge to overreact or seek validation from a narcissist. This is how Stoicism transforms inner energy into true strength. You are no longer manipulated. You consciously direct your own reactions and behavior. An advanced step in self-development is observing the connection between thoughts, emotions, and actions. The Stoic continually reflects. Why does a certain behavior or comment from someone trigger my emotions? Why do I tend to react in a particular way? This logical analysis helps you separate genuine feelings from exaggerated mental responses, reinforcing your inner armor so that every external stimulus becomes data for evaluation rather than a threat. Self-development also involves enhancing your analytical and decision-making abilities. When introspection and logical analysis become routine, you not only recognize external manipulations, but also anticipate how they might influence your emotions and actions. This ability allows you to maintain composure, self-control, and clarity, turning every stressful interaction into an opportunity to strengthen your inner resilience. Another key aspect is developing the habit of constant self-regulation and reflection. A Stoic doesn't practice introspection just once. They do it daily, adjusting thoughts, evaluating reactions, and reinforcing inner values. This consistency builds a logical system where true power no longer depends on external behavior, but resides in your ability to analyze, choose, and adapt. Ultimately, self-development lays the foundation for the next strategy: controlling your reactions. Once you've strengthened your inner core, clarified your values, and cultivated self-mastery, you're ready to remain calm in the face of manipulation, handle every situation with logic, and protect your mental space completely. This marks the transition from analytical awareness to deliberate action, where Stoic philosophy becomes a practical tool for protecting and expanding your inner strength. In the context of dealing with narcissists, self-development is not just rational awareness, it's both a defensive and constructive strategy for building inner capacity. Every act of introspection, every mental and behavioral adjustment becomes a brick reinforcing your psychological fortress. It minimizes external influence, enhances self-control, and maintains absolute calm. Once you master this stage, every trigger or manipulation from a narcissist becomes data for analysis, no longer powerful enough to control your emotions or decisions. And the final strategy, controlling your reactions. Ultimate power always lies in the way you choose to respond, not in other people's behavior. Stoicism emphasizes that you cannot control a narcissist's actions or any external factor, but you can always control how you face them. Controlling your reactions does not mean suppressing emotions or avoiding reality. It means recognizing, analyzing, and choosing a response that is rational and intentional. Every controlled response strengthens your inner authority and protects the steadiness of your mental fortress. When confronted with provocative words or actions, taking a brief pause to observe your inner state is essential. This pause is not passive. It is an opportunity to analyze, evaluate, and compare the real impact with the fabrications or exaggerations a narcissist may create. Choosing a response based on logic rather than emotion prevents you from handing over your power while maintaining stability and calm in your thinking, a place where every action is guided by reason. The Stoics understood that every excessive reaction is an opportunity to lose inner power. Controlling your reactions begins with recognizing the source of your emotions. Why does someone's behavior trigger you? Why do you tend to react in a certain way? When you separate genuine emotion from the exaggerated elements created in your mind, you reinforce your inner armor of logic, where every external stimulus is processed through reason and no longer holds the power to manipulate you. This strategy goes beyond simply identifying emotions. It's about analyzing your reactions and understanding their long-term impact. The Stoics knew that impulsive or uncontrolled reactions create a negative cycle, one that weakens inner authority and reinforces manipulation. In contrast, a deliberate and rational response breaks that cycle, reduces the narcissist's ability to influence you, and strengthens your control over thought, behavior, and mental energy. Every conscious action reinforces your inner fortress and safeguards your state of calm. An advanced step in this strategy is analyzing the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and behavior in every situation. The Stoic doesn't just observe the narcissist's behavior, they also observe their own reactions. Continuous introspection helps you identify reactive patterns, adjust your thinking, and strengthen your logical capacity, turning every tense interaction into an opportunity to reinforce inner power. This is how Stoicism transforms external stimuli into data for analysis, rather than allowing emotions to dictate behavior. The strategy of controlling reactions also involves analyzing the long-term effects of your responses. When you choose calmness and logic, you break every cycle of manipulation, minimize the power of controlling behaviors, and strengthen your ability to make reason-based decisions. Consistent practice builds a complete system of inner strength, where every stimulus from a narcissist is processed logically, no longer capable of breaking your self-control. Another key aspect of controlling your reactions is developing the ability to anticipate and analyze the potential impact of external behavior. The Stoic doesn't just observe present actions. They analyze patterns and recurring behaviors, allowing them to predict how these might affect their emotions and responses. This foresight helps you prepare mentally, choose rational reactions, and maintain an unshakable state of calm. With consistent practice, every word, action, or provocation becomes data to be processed logically, breaking cycles of manipulation and strengthening your inner power, turning each stressful interaction into an opportunity to train self-control. Furthermore, controlling your reactions is both a defensive and developmental strategy. When you control how you respond, you not only protect your inner world, but also strengthen your analytical capacity, your ability to identify logic in every situation, and your mastery over yourself. Every manipulative act from a narcissist becomes information to be processed, no longer capable of influencing your emotions or decisions. It can be said that controlling your reactions is the step that completes the system of 4 strategies. When you combine reducing influence, challenging illusion, developing the self, and controlling reactions, you create a comprehensive mental fortress where true power rests entirely in your hands. Every word, action, or external stimulus is analyzed, evaluated, and processed through reason. This state of calmness, logic, and absolute self-mastery demonstrates the practical application of Stoic philosophy, transforming every external challenge into an opportunity to strengthen your inner power and protect your mental space. The 4 strategies: reducing influence, challenging illusion, developing the self, and controlling reactions, form a solid logical chain aimed at safeguarding and reinforcing inner strength. Stoicism teaches that true power does not come from changing others, but from mastering your own mind, analyzing clearly, and choosing your responses wisely. When practiced together, these strategies not only minimize the influence of narcissists, but also cultivate self-discipline, composure, and reason in every situation. Viewing every interaction with a narcissist as data for analysis rather than an emotional threat allows you to separate external events from your internal responses. This not only protects your mental state, but also strengthens your ability to make logical decisions, enhancing control over your life and your inner energy. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that inner strength is built through awareness, reason, and deliberate action. And this is the key to maintaining absolute self-mastery. Each strategy represents a step in fortifying your inner fortress. Reducing influence helps you detach from irrational triggers. Challenging illusion clarifies reality. Self-development enhances self-awareness. And controlling reactions safeguards your mental space from manipulation. Together, these 4 strategies transform every stressful interaction into an opportunity to deepen your inner strength, preserve calm, and sustain complete self-control. The Stoics understood that inner peace is not a passive state, but the result of continuous awareness, logical analysis, and controlled reaction. With persistent practice, you are no longer governed by the narcissist's words or behavior. Instead, you turn them into objects of observation and rational processing. This is how Stoicism transforms external power into inner strength, allowing you to maintain clarity and stability in every situation. Ultimately, applying these 4 strategies not only protects your mind from narcissistic influence, but also opens the path toward developing inner strength, reason, and complete self-mastery. Every decision you make, every controlled reaction, and every logical analysis becomes another step in reinforcing your mental fortress. Stoicism reminds us that true strength always lies in the ability to master oneself, and that every action you take should serve to preserve your steadiness, clarity, and peace within. Remember that inner power is not something that can be taken away from you. By applying these principles, you turn every external influence into an opportunity to strengthen reason, deepen self-control, and maintain peace. This steadiness is the ultimate proof of the true strength of Stoic philosophy, a mental state that no manipulation or external provocation can penetrate. If you found these strategies helpful, start applying them today and remind yourself, my peace and inner power are untouchable. Like this video to support the spread of Stoic philosophy and the practice of self-mastery within our community. Don't forget to share this video with those who want to improve their emotional control and reduce the influence of manipulative individuals. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming content on self-development, logic, and Stoic philosophy.